Hey, everybody. This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. It's that time again to put BetterUp on blast. So, November 15th, BetterUp made a press release announcing that the Human Transformation Platform announced its open call for submissions for the first annual research prize bestowed by the Center for Purpose and Performance. Yeah, that's literally what it is. You know what's really disgusting about all of this is the fact that they're bringing in psychologists to essentially brainwash the workforce into thinking that your purpose is to serve us here in this mission that we're on, even though for the executives, it's to line their own pockets. But for the workers, we need to make sure that you understand that what you're doing here, your entire life is dedicated to it. Forget about your family, forget about having a work balance life. Your purpose is serving us. Chaired by renowned organizational psychologist and author Adam Grant. The center was founded in 2022 to deepen the understanding of the intersection of well being, purpose, and performance. The prize will recognize and fund research that introduces original ideas, exhibits cutting edge scientific methods, and demonstrates significant potential for meaningful advancements in the workplace. An expert panel of luminaries, including pioneering psychological safety expert Amy C. Edmondson, Harvard Business School, thought leader James Clear, and Senior Vice President and Chief People Officer Tiffany Boyd, McDonald's USA, will join Grant in judging research submissions and selecting winners of the prize. Submissions will be accepted from November 15th to February 15th, 2024. So apparently there is a theme for this year's research prize, and it's called Leading for Purpose and Performance. Obviously, you can hear echoes of Harry in there. You know how he always says, turning pain into purpose, or I would like to say turning pain into our profit. But essentially, for this, they want you to rethink purpose and performance. So, developing and analyzing structures and models that advance organizational effectiveness through innovation, collaboration, and adaptation in dynamic and complex work environments. They want you to reimagine cultures of inclusion and well being using novel sources of data on human and organizational behavior to improve our understanding of the barriers and facilitators of, get this, psychological safety, vitality, and mattering in the workplace. Meaning, if you're not on board giving your firstborn child to us, then you're not fit to be here. But they're going to condition you to think that what you're doing and your sole purpose on this earth is to serve us. And now, wait for it, the third one is revolutionize management's relationship to machines, demonstrating new and effective approaches for exploring AI-mediated communication, collaboration, and management dedicated to enhancing productivity, otherwise known as dedicating your life and soul, putting us as priority, and when you're no longer useful, we'll kick you out. What concerns me about this is a data company first. So all the information that they're collecting from all the clients that they have are feeding into these AI machines. So eventually what's going to happen, and we'll see, is these AI robots that now become the coaches, giving advice, brainwashing the people who actually need the help. Obviously, BetterUp has zero ethics. Otherwise, they would take care of their employees first before preaching on about psychological safety and telling people what their purpose is in life now. What they're doing here is really sourcing for solutions that they could ask their very own people for, but they don't want to pay for it. These grants that get passed out, obviously, there's a tax reduction for giving this to the center of performance, wherever the hell that is, or whatever that is. No doubt there are some tax breaks around that. This is not the first time that BetterUp has used this kind of tactic before. It has been noted in the Glassdoor reviews that they would interview people asking them to solve a problem and then never call them back for a follow-up for the job. I think it's quite shady, and this too smells of funk. If there was ever an indicator of how poorly Alex Robichaux, or Robichaux as I'd like to call him, of employee approval, last month he was sitting at a 3.2 rating. This month, his rating has gone down again. And the biggest Problem area is the senior management and leadership, which includes the chimpo Prince Harry. I think it's important to put these executive assholes on blast and give a platform to the people who are being abused at this company. So let's look at the most recent Glassdoor reviews about BetterUp. So this first one, dated November 14th, gets a 1 star across the board. Out of touch CEO, WeWork delusional vibes from a former employee of more than 3 years. The con, the list is endless. Check out other 1 star reviews for the truth. Most 5 star reviews are fake, done to try to bury the truth. This person actually admits that the environment is cult like. This next one is dated November 10th, and it's given 1 star, but common theme is about poor leadership. So does that surprise anybody? No, they hired Prince Harry, and look what an asshole he turned out to be. Anyhow, the cons that they say, leadership plays favoritism at all levels. They keep on changing their messaging, and then when expectations are not met, the core performance related issues. Very poor communication for an organization that should pride itself based on their solutions they deploy. Advice to management: practice what you preach. Always quick to point the finger at the teams deployed to sell what you created. And when it's hard to do it, they terminate their people with very little regard and respect. Yeah, it's all about, it's not our fault, it's your fault. We're putting the blame on you. No accountability. Now I'm going to go ahead and read one more. I felt that this one deserves the airtime because they really go into ripping this company apart. So, dated October 24th, 2023, this is a current employee of more than 3 years. God bless. Anyhow, they gave it a 2 star, and they say, it's you, not me. Now, the pros, they say great flexibility of remote work. That's fine. Obviously, when you work from home, you tend to work more. So that's no biggie. But the cons, they go in to say, we are losing our way. It astounds me how out of touch some of the responses I have heard from executive leadership team are. The surprise that things are as bad as they are on the ground when I have been hearing about this for more than 2 years. And I promise, people did try to speak up. The tone deafness answering a retention issue that is driven by trauma around framework mindsets with more reading on mindsets. It says something that the company is only now responding because of how bad attrition has become, even though the reviews flagging the culture go back for at least 2 years. Then again, it comes at no surprise to me, upward feedback is being stifled at the front line. So there is no way executive leadership team or anyone, director above, would be aware of the dynamics below. Sometimes I feel as if our company lives in two completely separate sets of realities, the realities at director and above, and the realities below. Too long didn't read. I feel as if I'm in a narcissistic relationship with my employer where the problem is always me. Is Meghan Markle your boss? Company culture is toxic because I can't seem to communicate my reality without being slapped with an objective black and white label from some misapplied framework we use. Not comfortable with ambiguity, not an extreme owner, victim, not impact player. That requires no readjustment from BetterUp, but instead implicitly messages that I just need to fix my mindset and normalize whatever it is I'm experiencing. Yeah, so that's like wrong think. You can't feel a certain way. They're telling you how you are acting or behaving, and you need to accept it. What a shitty environment. I believe the entire experience is driven by three main issues: normalization of strategic whiplash and lack of public acknowledgement of and accountability from BetterUp management for business failures. Ding, ding, ding. We ask people to sprint and move with urgency. This in itself would likely be fine if the speed and urgency were action, not motion, but compounded with changing directions at a frenetic pace that is unsustainable past a year or two, people burn out. There are only so many times I can justify sprinting with no outcome. Why sprint if my work is going to be churned anyway? I am asked to normalize the level of strategic whiplash under the guise of this being an agile startup. We need acknowledgement that Alexi and the executive leadership team including Prince Harry, have made a number of decisions that have not panned out and resulted in churned work and the current state of panic, with the corresponding accountability. At Leadership's direction, we spent years of resources building products without the requisite market readiness or user value to see traction, and invested, then divested, then invested, then divested again in the same go to market segments without ever creating a repeatable motion. I understand there will be churned work and strategic pivots when you are doing something as new as what we are trying. At the same time, blanket responses like, we're a startup, you have to be comfortable with ambiguity and change, completely shirk responsibility for the fact that leadership has not made prudent decisions with investments, and we're not wise enough to realize the importance of repeatability, continuity, and focus. While everyone makes mistakes, we need equal accountability. If ICs, and I'm assuming that's coaches, are going to be held accountable to their individual performance and let go when business performance goes south, so then should leadership for putting the wrong people in seat or making choices to invest resources in a way that have not enabled us to hit our targets. Not how hard they tried and whether they exhibited extreme ownership. Lack of emphasis on people management, managers not given enough time to build trust and solicit upward feedback. Leaders often have so much on their plate that they struggle to make the time to meet with and get to know their reports. I've gone entire months without a one on one. Their prioritization of time is a reflection of how our company treats people management. They are not being evaluated on their performance managing their team. They are being evaluated on other aspects of their job. Example, how well they perform as ICs, not as managers. We talk the talk, but don't walk the walk. We host elaborate, time-intensive leadership and manager trainings, but then don't make time for our managers to actually manage, or don't evaluate them on how they manage. There is incongruence between our words and actions, and it shows. Worst of all, I have rarely heard management actively solicit upward feedback from the front lines or acknowledge feedback in a way that makes the employee feel safe. The feedback seems to flow unidirectionally, always down, never up. This phenomenon creates a deep sense of power imbalance and lack of psychological safety. The use of high impact behaviors and mindsets without appropriate checks and balances. The root cause of so much pain is that the use of high impact behaviors, especially extreme ownership and bias to action and comfort with ambiguity, and mindset readings is never checked by the use of conscious commitments. See the concept from Fred Kaufman, one of our basic readings in onboarding. Here's the most basic conscious commitment between employer and employee. I pay you X to do Y. The line, of course, can be negotiated and renegotiated as it will need to be given we are in a fast-paced category creating business. But make no mistake, it needs to be articulated so that we can agree we are looking at the same line. BetterUp violates this concept again and again by refusing to articulate explicit expectations for roles or promotions while reserving the power to give feedback and performance evaluations based on implicit expectations. I won't give you clear, measurable expectations for your role or for this project. I will just give you a set of arbitrary mindsets to follow because we are a startup and you need to be comfortable with ambiguity and tolerate any amount of strategic whiplash coming from the top. See how this fits with my first point? And at the same time, you can absolutely still be dinged for not meeting expectations. The imbalance of power in negotiating realities is crushing. At any time, the narrative simply reflects whatever is more convenient for BetterUp. ICs are entirely accountable for failures to execute. BetterUp is never accountable for setting them up to a Sisyphean task with constantly changing goalposts because it's a startup. To make matters worse, we have equipped management with language to dismiss any pushback on lack of expectations or lack of strategic clarity with extreme ownership, bias to action, your job is not your job, impact player, and so many more exploitable frameworks. Well-meaning, but sometimes inexperienced, new managers who are still drinking the Kool-Aid continue to use this language on an already traumatized employee base. This deeply entrenched mindset based coaching proliferates BetterUp culture. It's cloak and dagger binary thinking masquerading as virtue. Labels that are often up to someone's subjective interpretation are applied as an objective identity, and which leave women and minorities especially vulnerable to abuse. People are called extreme owners as if they are, never mind the vast, and I mean vast differences in bias, trust, visibility, and context given to people close to the C suite that enables them to be interpreted as impact players or extreme owners. BetterUp conflates outcome and behavior and mindset, choosing to coach ICs on their mindset when they fail to deliver outcomes while simultaneously refusing to acknowledge or take responsibility to improve the climate they are operating within, and how that climate is different for every single person here depending on their manager, their proximity to C suite or the executives, their function, and more. Extreme ownership without the check of conscious commitments is a concept ripe for abuse. If X can be an extreme owner, you can too. If you can't, that's your problem. I cannot tell you how disheartening and hopeless it is to be told over and over again that there are two types of people and you are not the right kind, or to be told that you need to exhibit more of some high impact behavior or mindset without being allowed to ask for the conditions that would enable it. Clear promotion path, clear expectations. How this all comes together. The experience is a bit like repeatedly yelling into a void or being yelled at by someone over and over again to just do better. At a certain point, after all of this, you feel like giving up. You will never win. There is no way to say, I can only physically and emotionally sustain working so many hours in a day or week, and I can't seem to get a sense from anyone where that scope starts and where it ends, or trust that my work will not be suddenly churned, or understand how this affects my compensation and career trajectory. I know only if I fail to address some business problem I knew about but did not have the capacity to handle, I would probably be told that I was not an extreme owner, or that I didn't exhibit bias towards action, or that I need to be more comfortable with ambiguity. The experience is a bit like repeatedly yelling into a void or being yelled at by someone over and over again to just do better. At a certain point, after all of this, you feel like giving up. You will never win. There is no way to say, I can only physically and emotionally sustain working so many hours in a day or week, and I can't seem to get a sense from anyone where that scope starts and where it ends, or trust that my work will not be suddenly churned, or understand how this affects my compensation and career trajectory. I know only if I fail to address some business problem I knew about but did not have the capacity to handle, I would probably be told that I was not an extreme owner, or that I didn't exhibit bias towards action, or that I need to be more comfortable with ambiguity. Why bother engaging if the problem is always you and BetterUp needs to change? Now, this person gives advice to management, which is essentially what was stated up above. It breaks my heart to read this because I went through this and I know what this feels like. And unfortunately, as much as you have faith or believe that people can change, corporations like this don't care about their employees. All they do is protect their own interests and ensure that they don't get sued. Of course, they're not going to admit their failures. That opens them up to liability for everybody else to come speaking out in how they have been abused, which could subject them to a class action lawsuit. Now, definitely not going to get that far because so many people are afraid to voice their concerns because that will jeopardize their position and their employment. It happens every single day in corporate America. This happened to me. You think that, oh, I'm going to speak up because this is wrong. No, they see you as the problem, not them, or wanting to help change or fix it because the ultimate goal is to protect the brand at all costs. There's no sense in fighting this. This person's been working there for 3 years and nothing has changed. I think it's time to walk away. Knowing what I know now, and reflecting back on this experience I had in one of these type companies and how I was treated, I wish that I didn't waste so much time thinking that these people were going to change and that they were going to do right by the employee. All of what they're telling the employees about how they operate ethically is a lie. They care first and foremost of protecting their interests only, and they don't give a shit about the B workers because they feel they are replaceable. And as you can see with AI now, they're going to eventually start getting rid of all these people because if AI can do it without the complaints, why not do that? Better for the bottom line because they make more money. I feel that it's important to put this company on blast and give these employees a voice because what they're being subjected to is wrong and it's cruel. I speak from experience. I went through a similar situation that I wish on no one. So I feel for these people, and it's why I continue to speak out against BetterUp because they are clearly abusing their power in their position. These tech companies are the most dangerous work environments out there because they don't value human life. They fully believe this transhumanism in which man and machine will be melded together. The CEO of BetterUp, Alexei Robichaux, or Robichaux as I like to call him, is a globalist. He is part of the WEF, and this transhumanism is a real thing. And AI now to replace a lot of human interaction is dangerous, in my opinion. These wealthy, entitled little shits want to play God. And that's exactly what they're doing in the corporate environment, as well as the universities, by conditioning people to be subservient, to be numb, to go down the path that they want so they can make money. I'm so sick of hearing, oh, we want a world that's more equitable and inclusive and diverse. No, you don't. Seriously, this is all bullshit. They are exploiting vulnerabilities of people and profiting. That's all that it is. These people don't care. Otherwise, they would pay attention to these kind of reviews and do something about it. But what do you guys think? Definitely leave your thoughts below on this one. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
It was such a fraud.